Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. Today we'll be doing a couple projects with some glass etching, and in the middle I have another surprise that you could use as a gift or home decor. Project number 1. First off, I took this vinyl that's made for stencils, and I'm just reverse weeding this really. You're taking out all of the extra that you're going to want to stencil. So normally with normal vinyl, this would be our picture. So now I just add this to my transfer tape. And I'm going to use this cylinder from the Dollar Tree. First, I want to make sure that there's no residue of any soap or anything on here, so I use some rubbing alcohol and I wipe all of that away. And then I just apply my cylinder. Sometimes if you're putting a stencil with the vinyl or any sort of vinyl on a glass item that's round, you have to snip the sides. I didn't end up having to do that with this. To find my center, I actually used a piece of the underside of the vinyl and I folded it in half to find where the center is so that I could line up the center of my decal. Now I'm just going to rub that on here. Again, you could use any sort of stencil or you could use contact paper and make your own stencil. But I use the Folk Art Glass Etching Cream. I picked this up at Michael's a year or two ago for a Christmas project I had bought in the past. In stores, I have seen the Armor Etching Cream also. That one sells at a lot of the craft stores. So you can use that one. They do run, I want to say, around $10 or so. But they go a long ways. I know the Armor Etching Cream that I see more often, you can, scrape it back off and put it back in the bottle and reuse it. But with this one, it says to let it sit for 15 minutes and then run it under water. Now, normally you just run this under the faucet. You want to make sure and use gloves. And when you run it under the faucet, it would just come off. So then I just helped rub it off in this bowl and peeled off my stencil. And then we can see how it etched the glass. Now, the possibilities for this are endless. You could put just about anything on these. I made, just kind of a neutral little design, and I can link that below. And so this I thought would look nice with a candle in it. So I thought it would fit my decor year-round. Or make it for Mom. Make it personalized to fit her home. All right, can you see that? I know it's hard to see on the camera, but it etched that right in there. I think it turned out so pretty. Now, I thought that I wanted to put this on, some sort of platter. So I used my half wood beads and I'm just adding those around with hot glue. I will link these below if you'd like the half wood beads. They seem to be becoming more of a trend on farmhouse decor. So if you would like those, I can link them to Amazon for you. So just continue to do those all the way around. This is just a platter that I found at the Dollar Tree. It has a wood grain. And then I'm just taking some folk art ivory paint and going over this. It will continue to show me that wood grain even with the paint going over the top of it. I do hope that you're enjoying this video and that you're going to hit that like button and tell me which of these you're enjoying today the most. I want to know which one you liked. All right, so you can see that wood grain, and I thought if I took some sandpaper, I might be able to take off a little bit of the white, but it just wasn't coming through enough. So I'm just dry brushing with a little bit of gray Waverly Chalk paint. Gosh, this is a light one. I'm sorry, I don't remember what this one's called. I also went over it with just a little bit of steel. And also, if my voice sounds a little bit off, I do apologize. These allergies are starting to get to me. So just a little bit of dry brushing going with the grain of that wood, except for going around the edge of this circle. I really wanted to show a little bit of wear there so that when the cylinder's sitting in the center, you would see it. Then I popped a little wreath in there to go with it. And I just thought that you could change this out. Gosh, isn't that pretty? So soft. You could do some lavender. And you could do sunflowers later in the summer. I just think that this is just such a nice versatile design that you could carry on with that. DIY number 2 is one that I was going to do in the Try It Tuesday challenge where you try doing what someone else has done. So I'm going to do that, and I wanted to share it with you instead of waiting a whole another month to share this with you. So I have seen this done by a couple different crafters. The last person that I saw do it was Teresa B from Teresa B DIY, and she did such a pretty job. So I took this flower from the Dollar Tree and pulled off that stake, and now I'm just going over this with the Waverly Chalk paint in ivory. I like ivory because it isn't such a stark white paint. I didn't want it a bold paint, so often I will use either plaster or I will use the ivory. Next, I just took some dowels. Actually, they're the skewers. They're those big, long skewers. And so I measured one and snipped it to fit. And then the other one, I'm just measuring it to the center. And I just took my snippers here and kind of went around the outside. And then I just cut it through. This will make a cute X. So I just want to line that up and then see if it does work just on both sides there. I couldn't just mark it. It needed to go from the other side. I thought I could just snip too, but it needed just a little bit further. So I just marked it to make sure. And I will just snip the other side. But I was able to then get the two, of course, out of the big long ones. Now I'm going to take my gray and I'm going to go over. I had painted the frame in the ivory and decided I needed a little bit more of a contrast. So I painted the frame in that light gray. This little bottle did not have a color on it. I am so sorry. It didn't have a sticker on top. But it's a lighter gray from the Waverly Chalk paints. Kind of a fun fact, I was looking at the chalk paint bottle and realized these are made by Plaid also. So same company that makes the folk art and the other folk art chalk paint that I sometimes have grabbed from Hobby Lobby. So my goodness, Plaid really has some great paints. All right, so now I just took a little bit of the steel and I went over the top of this just to give it a little bit of texture. And I just wanted that frame to just have a little bit more depth than a flat gray. So I took that gray and I just went around the center of my flower. And I was given this glue gun to try out and review and to give you my honest opinion. I like it. It has a low setting and a higher setting. And then once it heats up, you can unplug it and use it for a while. I think I used it off and on for up to about 10 minutes. It doesn't have like a charge to it, but it gives you that ability to use it cordless for a while. Then you just plug it back in. But the nice thing also is it's got a stand on the bottom, so it doesn't sit there tilted all the time and kind of in your way. So I tried that out. The low temp, as you can see, I was able to kind of push it down. And it has such an easy trigger on it. That took me a minute to kind of get used to, that I barely have to touch the trigger and it comes out. So I put a little bit of glue on the top of it after I did the bottom and just used my little spatula there. It does come with fingertip protectors as well, so that was handy. Next, I just want to put the heft dowels. So I'm just lining them up and put a little glue in the corner and just a little bit of glue in the middle. I want a little bit on each end and just smoothing that so it's not globbed at all, but you want it to be secure. And this tip did allow me to just put just enough glue there. This may be my new favorite glue gun. Next, I'm going to attach the flower. Actually, wait, I'm going to antique the flower just a little bit more. So I used my Posca paint markers. Now these are an acrylic marker. So I thought that this might be good to just add just a little bit of aging to it. As you can see, those flowers have some detail. They have some little ripples that I wanted you to be able to see. So I went around the edges first with this gray. But, you know, it does turn out it's a little bit stark. So what I'm going to do is take a baby wipe and you just rub that off just a little bit so that you just are able to make out the edges and it just gives it an accent. So I continue to do that around the edges of all the flowers. And of course, I will not make you watch the whole flower. I also went back with a little bit of that gray paint and went over the petals. I just decided I wanted that to match and accent a little bit. And then I went back with the wet wipe again and just rubbed off the excess so that it is just giving me those details. I went over the top with just a little bit of my ivory again. Now I'm using that Monvic glue gun with one of the tumbling tower blocks, and I thought that this would just give it a little bit more stability. And I just flipped it over and wanted to put glue all the way around it just to make sure it's nice and secure. This flower isn't too heavy, but I wanted to make sure that it would stay secure. So I wasn't able to get all of the stake off. I do have that rung there of it. So I put my glue on there and I just set that right on the block. And this project is really that easy. It's just a matter of painting these to be how you like it. But I think this turned out to be so pretty. You could do a couple of them. Maybe do 2 in the ivory and 1 in the middle in an accent color. But I think that this could be so pretty just the way it is. DIY number 3. This is another one of the glass etchings. So I wanted to make Mama Bear. How many of us are protective mama bears, or you know one? I thought that this would just be so cute. So I wanted to show you again a little bit of the weeding. Now, as I take this off, I thought about it and I'm like, I can reuse this if I take the little bits of the A so that that'll block out next time. I can use this as another stencil just in reverse. So I put that on there. Wasn't going to make you watch me paint that etching cream on there again, but I wanted you to be able to see what it looks like on a mug. Just another way of doing it. So again, I took my water, went over it with a glove. I will wipe off, that extra cream. I just thought this turned out so cute. I think I will probably try the Armor etching cream a little bit also, just to see if it gives even a stronger etching, or, putting another coat of this etching cream. But I like the way they turn out. It's just such an easy process and, gives some neat results. It is kind of hard to see sometimes when you're not in person. It shows up so much better than it does on camera. If you've been enjoying these, I do really hope that you're going to subscribe to my channel. I'm getting so close to that 1,000 mark. We are over 800 subscribers, so that's so exciting. Then I can post to you on my community page and things like that. So I want to be able to do those things for you. And there we are. I just shoved some tissue paper in there so that you could see it a little bit better. Isn't that neat? And this is just a mug I found at the Dollar Tree. And here it is with some coffee and a treat for Mama Bear. I just have this there on the tray. I do thank you for watching today, and I can't wait to see you next week. Have a great day.